So in the previous session, we have introduced file handling concept in Python, and we have seen how to write into a text file and how to read from a text file by using some methods: read method, readline method, readlines method for reading, and write method and writeline method for writing into the file. So today we are going to see the remaining part of this file handling concept. First, we'll begin with the append operation. We'll open a file in append mode and perform write operation. So what is append mode actually? Append mode will allow you to open an existing file in a write mode, but it will persist the previous content in the file. If there is already some content available in that file will not that content will not be overwritten. Instead, a new content will be written at the end of that file. So the old content will remain as well as the new content will be added. So that is nothing but append mode. So how to open this file in a append mode? Use a as second parameter to the open function. Okay, so now I'm opening a file called myfile.txt. myfile.txt in append mode. Then what you will do when you'll not have any specific function, just like for read and write you have read function, write function, right? So in that way you'll not have any specific function for append mode. Append mode is nothing but open the file for writing only, but the difference between write mode and append mode is write mode will overwrite the previous content and write the new content, whereas append mode will not overwrite and add new content by writing it at the end of the file. Okay, so now when you open the file in a append mode, the file pointer will be pointing to the end of the file, because if it is pointing at the beginning of the file, then the previous content will be overwritten, right? So that should not happen. So what will happen is the file pointer will be pointing to the end of the file, so that when you try to write new content by using the write function or write line function, what will happen is the content will be written at the end of the file by persisting or by keeping uh, the old content as it is, fine. So after opening the file in append mode, in the next line what I am doing is I am writing a new text called today, right? So let me first open that myfile.txt and show the content. It has the following content: hello, Python is simple object oriented. So this is the current content of the file. So now after we run this program, what will be the content? Let us see. But after writing, what I am doing, I am closing the file. Then again I am opening the file in read mode, because I want to check after writing the content in append mode whether the previous content is preserved and the new content is added at the end of the file or not. I want to check. So how to check it again? Either you have to manually open the file like this, like just now I opened it, right, and check it, or you can close the file in append mode and reopen it in read mode, because the append mode will not allow you to read the content. So you need to open the file again in read mode and then read the content of the file, either using a read method or read lines method or read line method, any of those methods, right? So now I'm opening the file again in read mode, then printing a message file content after appending, and printing file1 dot read lines. So read lines will return what? All the lines read from the file. Okay, then using a print statement, I'm moving the cursor to one more line after this content is read. Then after that I'm closing the file. So let us run this program and see the output. So what is read lines going to do? It is going to return a list, right? List of all the lines. Each line in the form of a string will be stored in the list as an item. So if there are 10 lines, then 10 items will be returned in the list. So if there are 5 lines, 5 lines will be returned. So in our existing file, there are how many lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines are there. But now after appending, we have added one more line of content, that is today, right? So totally you'll have 6 lines. So when you read the content, you are getting additionally today also. So let me reopen that file that we opened it earlier, myfile.txt. This is before appending. So I'll reopen it again. So now you are able to see today at the end, right? So this is how, this is very simple. Append mode is opening the file in append mode and writing, simple. You can use write method or write line method, and after that you can read it using read method or read line method or read lines method. So don't forget to close the file after you perform each and every operation, because closing the file will remove the file from the memory, and if any operations are pending which are available in the buffer, if you don't close the file, they will not be updated into the file. So the buffer will be flushed out and the file will be updated with the new content or any changes that you made during this program execution. They'll be updated when you close the file, right? So you know the concept of buffering. Buffer means what? When you're performing some input operation or output operation, even writing content into the file and reading content from the file is also considered as input and output operation in computer science engineering. So when you're performing some input operation and output operation, some buffers will be there. Why this buffer is useful means, when you are writing each character one after the other, or you are reading the character one after the other, the content will be read from the buffer. First the buffer input buffer will be receiving that content from the input device and store that characters in the buffer first, and after the buffer is full, then the buffer will be flushed out and the content will be written into the file in a single go. Instead of writing each and every character for every time you give a one character as input to your file, it will not be written as and when the single character is given as input. Instead, it will be stored in a buffer. So you can imagine this as a general example. Say there is a uh, producer or a manufacturing company which manufactures some products or items. It will be producing one after the other the items, right? So what you will do from the factory, you will shift them to a godown to store them in a lot. Then from there, at a time you will be transmitting or transporting these items in bunches or a complete lorry of a load or something, some container or something will be distributed to the wholesale market or retailers and all these things at a time, right? Instead of transporting that item, each and every item after it is produced, if you have to transport it to the wholesale market, it will be useless. It will involve lot of cost, right? So that's why after say 100 items are produced, all the 100 items at a time will be transported from the factory to the godown, and from godown to the wholesale people, all these things like this way. So in the same way, buffer also works in the same way. Buffer is nothing but once you take input from the keyboard, then your keyboard will have a buffer. The content will be stored in the buffer. You type 5 characters, say the size of the buffer is 8 characters for example. You type 8 characters, then all the 8 characters will be first stored into the buffer, because the size of the buffer is 8. After the buffer is full, it cannot accommodate further more text that you type, right? So immediately first all the 8 characters that are filled in buffer will be written into the file first, and then buffer will be emptied so that it can receive next characters that you are giving as input. So in that way buffers will work, right? Once the buffer is full, then it will be flushed automatically out. That means it will be removed from that buffer and copied into the file on the disk when you're performing write operation. Similarly, when you're performing read operation also, it will work in the same way. So the content will be taken from the file one after the other and stored into the buffer first, and from the buffer it will be displayed on the screen for us when you read and print it on the screen. So this is how buffers will be useful. So if by chance when you are writing some characters or reading characters, when you reach the end of the file, by the time you reach the end of the file, if the buffer is not full and it is occupying only say 3 characters in the buffer, actually the capacity of the buffer is 8. So because the buffer is not full, the 3 characters at the end of the file will not be written into the file, right? So when that will happen, even though buffer is not full, if you want to flush out that the remaining 3 characters from the buffer and write them back into the file, you need to close the file. So once you close the file, what will happen is, irrespective of whether the file buffer is empty or full, whatever content is there in the buffer will be written off into the file. So that is one advantage of closing the file after you perform every operation. So before you perform any other operation, better to close the function, close the file. So that's why I close the file here and then reopened it again, so that any updates that are not happened to the file on the disk will happen at the end. So your file will be completely updated, and when you open it for read purpose, automatically the updated data will be read from the file. Okay, so now that we completed append mode, I think you can take the task of using the other 3 modes: R plus mode, W plus mode, append A plus mode also. So if you want to use A plus R plus mode or A plus mode, simply use the plus operator there, A plus, like this. So what is the difference between R and R plus, W and W plus, A and A plus? So when you use R plus mode, you can read as well as write. When you open the file in read mode, you will only be able to read. But if you open the file in read plus mode, R plus mode, you can do both. You can perform read operation as well as you can perform write operation, right? Similarly, when you open the file in write plus mode, that is W plus mode, you can perform write mode, you can perform write operation as well as read operation also, right? Similarly, when you open the file in A plus mode, that is append plus mode, actually an append mode will allow you to add the content at the end of the file, that is write the content by preserving the old content, right? But it will not allow you to read the data that is already there. So if you open that file in A plus mode, it will allow you to preserve the old data and write new data, and then also to read the data from the file also it will allow you to do, right? So that is A plus mode. So that is the difference between R and R plus, W and W plus, A and A plus. So you can take this work this as a task for you, so that you can write your own program using R plus mode, W plus mode and A plus mode. But apart from these 6 modes, you also have another mode called X mode, small letter X. So this X mode is nothing but it will simply create a file. An empty file will be created. When you are opening a file in read mode, what is happening? If the file exists, then the file will be opened. If you are opening a file in write mode, if the file exists, the file will be opened and you can write content into the file, right? uh, but when you open the file in append mode, if the file exists, okay, it will be opened. If the file does not exist, it will create a file as it is in write mode also. If the file does not exist, it will create a file and then start writing into that file, right? But if you open a file in X mode, if you use this open function in X mode like this, it will create a new file which is not existing. And if there is already a file with that same name existing, then it will return an error. Okay, it will try to create a new file, and if the file is already existing, then it will return an error. So now for example, I'll try to run this program again by giving X here. Because myfile.txt already exists, it has to generate for me an error. See, you're getting an error. File exists. It is displaying a message called file exists. If I give a new file here, then a new file will be created. A blank new file will be created, and then you can write content into the file after that. You cannot write content. It will simply open the file in, it will simply create the file. So let us see whether it will work or not. Yes. It's working. So let me delete that file. So what is there in my file one? Only today. So what we are doing in this program, you are writing content. Because you didn't open it in append mode, the old content is being overwritten, and the new content today is being written. And when you read the file, when you open the here you are opening the my file, right? So that's why you're getting that output. So let us change this and run it again. So now it will return only today because you are able to write it. So let us see whether we'll be able to do any other operation here. So when you open the file in X mode, what is happening? The file will be created, and once the file is created, you can perform write operation, you can perform read operation. So let me uh, try to use the read operation here. So you are getting an error because the file exists. Let me delete this. Even now also you are getting an error, right? So what do you understand from this? It is displaying IO dot unsupported operation not readable. So that means when you create a file using this X mode, you can only perform write operation. You cannot perform read operation. If you want to perform read operation, you have to close the file and then reopen that file again in read mode. Okay, so let me put this in comment. Right, so this is X mode. X mode will allow you to create a file, create a new file. If the file already exists, then it will return an error. If the file does not exist, then it will create the file. And once you create and open that file, you can perform only write operation. You cannot perform read operation, right? So this is an extra mode. And apart from all these modes, you can also mention here, say you are opening the file in read mode, and beside that you can use T or B. T means text file. So you want the file to be opened in text mode, then it will open in text mode. If you are trying to open a binary file, just yesterday we have discussed about text files and binary files, right? So if you want to open a binary file in binary mode, then you can give B here, RB, right? So that means you can use this B mode for every. By default, if you don't specify, it will open it in text mode. But if you specify B here, it will open that file in binary mode. Binary mode means it will display all zeros, ones, and all other symbols. You will not be able to read that file when you open the file in binary mode. Only when you open the file in text mode, the exact content what is there in that file will be visible to us. If you open it in binary mode, it will not be visible properly for us. Okay, so you can use this B with read, write as well as append, and even R plus, the right, W plus and A plus also you can use. So you can use RB plus, AB, WB plus, AB plus. Okay, so B stands for binary. If you want to specify as text, you can specify T there. Even if you don't specify T, by default it will be considered as a text mode only of opening the file. So altogether, how many combinations you are getting in when you are opening a file? This is R mode, then W mode, append mode, R plus mode, W plus mode, A plus mode, RB, WB, AB, RB plus, WB plus, AB plus, and apart from that you have X mode. X mode will simply create the file and will allow you to only write the content into the file. It will erase the previous content and write new content, but you'll not have any previous content because X mode will create a new file. If the file already exists, it will return a error. So you may get a doubt, what is the difference between X and W, right? So if you open the file in write mode, if the file does not exist, a new file will be created. If the file exists, then the existing file will be opened and then you can write. But coming to X mode, if the file does not exist, the file will be created. If the file exists, you'll not be able to open that file. Instead, it will generate an error for you if the file exists. That is the difference between W and X mode. Okay, so these are the various modes in which you can open the file and perform write or read or append operations. So now that you understood these basic different modes of file opening and performing write operation, so everywhere in all these modes you will be using either read function, read line function, or read lines function, or for writing you will use write function, write line function. Only these 5 functions you will be using, and there are some more functions apart from read and write operations performed. We have seen yesterday a seek function, right? So we have seen a seek function, basic seek version yesterday. We'll see a advanced version of seek function today in another program. And apart from that seek function, you also have another function called tell function. So you have these two functions even in C language file handling also, but their names will be fseek and ftell. But here instead of fseek and ftell, you have simply seek and tell. So let me show you uh, another program which will demonstrate seek and tell. So look at this file, look at this program. I am opening the file myfile.txt in read mode. Then using the print statement, I am printing the position of the file pointer before reading is f.tell, right? So what is this f.tell function going to return? It is going to return the current position of the file pointer. By default, when you open a file in read mode, the file pointer will be pointing to the beginning of the file, right? Then after that, what you're doing, you're reading first 10 characters of the file. So after you read the first 10 characters of the file, now if you call tell function, the tell function will be pointing to the 11th character of the file, right? So that's why again after this read function is performed, read operation is performed, I'm calling again tell function, right? So this tell function does not receive any parameter. It doesn't have any parameter. It will automatically give the current position of the file pointer where it is. If it is at the beginning, it will give at the beginning. If it is at the end, it will give end. or if it is at the middle, it will give a middle, whatever position it is. Then coming to the seek function, yesterday we have used seek function with only one parameter, but actually seek function supports two parameters. First one is the offset. That means how many positions you want to move the cursor, that is move the file pointer from the current position, or from the beginning of the file, or from the end of the file, right? So the first position, say if I give 0, it means that uh, it is simply, if I don't give 1 here, if I simply give 0 here, automatically the seek function will move the file pointer to the beginning of the file uh, from the current position. If the current position is at the beginning, then it will remain as it is. But if the current position of the file pointer is at somewhere in the middle or at the end of the file, then it will move the file pointer to the beginning of the file. So that is the meaning of 0. But apart, this is actually called as offset. First parameter is called as offset parameter. Then second parameter, it is not mandatory. If you don't give the second parameter, it indicates that the current position of the file is to be moved directly to the beginning of the file, irrespective of where the file pointer is pointing currently. But if you give the second parameter will take values 0 or 1 or 2. Any of these three values it will take. Either you have to give 0 or 1, or 2 you have to give. So what if you give 0, what if you give 1, what if you give 2? 0 means what? From the beginning of the file, move the file pointer by these many characters that you mentioned here at the beginning of the as the first parameter. Say here if I mention 5, what does it indicate? From the beginning of the file, 0 indicates from the beginning of the file, which is second parameter, right? So from beginning of the file, move the file pointer by 5 characters and point to the next character. That is the meaning of the uh, first parameter when the second parameter is used. Okay, and if I specify here 1, it indicates from the current position, file pointer position, advance the file pointer by 5 characters. If the current position is at the beginning, then from the beginning it will move 5 characters. If the current position is somewhere in the middle, then from there it will move by 5 characters, right? Then uh, if I give 2, if I give 2, it indicates that from the end of the file, move back by 5 characters. That is the meaning of this one, right? So what was the actual value that we were using? I'll close it and reopen it. So I have given 0 comma 1. What does it mean? From the current position, 1 means second parameter 1 means what? From current position. Move by how many characters? 0. That means from the current position itself you start, you can you're setting the file pointer to the current position wherever it is. That is the meaning of this 0 comma 1. Then from there you start reading 20 characters. Already you have read 10 characters here, right? So from the next character you are going to read 20 characters, and that will be printed on the screen. Then after that, position of the file pointer after reading is again you are calling a tell function. Then you are closing the file. So let us run this program and see the output. So position of the file pointer before reading. So soon after you open the file, it will be pointing to the beginning of the file. The first character of the file will be having an index 0. So it will give 0. Tell function will return 0. Then after that you are reading the first 10 characters. So it includes the first 5 letters of the first line and backslash n character, sixth character, and then the next 4 characters from Python are pyth. So the first 10 characters are read. So after that, position of the file pointer will be pointing to the 11 because you have read up to 10, right? So the next one will be 11. Then you are reading how many characters? 20 characters. So uh, till here it is reading object. After that, if you call the tell function, it will return the current position as 34. Right? So this is how you can use seek function and tell function. So tell function, if you want to know what is the current position of the file pointer, to which character it is pointing in the file, then you can call the tell function. And if you want to advance the uh, file pointer position to some other position from the current position, you can use seek function by using two parameters, where the first parameter is the offset address after offset position, and second parameter is nothing but called as from position, whether you want to move the file pointer from the beginning of the file, or from the current position of the file, or from the ending of the file. So let us use here 2 instead of 1, right? So I'll use 2 instead of 1. Then let me run this program again. So what is it doing? First it is returning 0 as it is, then it is returning up to pyth, it is reading up to pyth, then the tell function is returning 11. After that, what you are performing here, you are reading 20 characters from 11, right? But here I mentioned from the end of the file. So if you go to the end of the file, what will be there? Nothing will be there. From there, if you start reading 20 characters, where will you go? So it is going to 52. So there is no content at all at that location, at that particular character position. So that's why it is giving an empty uh, value here. Nothing is being displayed here. Okay. So if I use instead of 2 0, what is the meaning? From the beginning of the file, right? So after it read up to th, we are not reading again from the 11th position. Instead, you are reading from the beginning of the file. Again, hello Python is simple. Till there you are reading, and after that tell will return 23. Right? So when you are reading from the beginning of the file, you need not mention this one. Directly, if you give the only one parameter 0, automatically it indicates from the beginning of the file. So let me so again you will get the same output. Instead of giving 0 comma 0, if you give only one parameter, that is sufficient, right? So this is how you can use tell function and seek function. Then apart from this seek function and all, we also have some more uh, uh, things. Let me show you. If you want to know the name of the file, mode in which your file is opened, so now look at this file. A file object that is returned, you can use that file object to access some attributes that are particular to that file. You have three different attributes called, one is mode attribute, second one is name attribute, and then third one is closed attribute. So what are these attributes means? If you access these attributes by using that file object that is written by opening that file, uh, if you access this f.mode attribute, it will return the mode in which the file is opened. So if you observe this file example.txt, in which mode it is opened? In read mode, right? So this will return what? The mode of the file in which it is opened, that is read mode. Then f.name will return the name of the file. What is the name of the file? Example.txt. So that will be returned. And f dot closed will return a boolean value. If the file is already closed, then it will return true, otherwise it will return false. So after I close the file, again if I call it, now it will return true. Here it will return false because I didn't close the file yet. But now here if I call it, it will return true, right? So let me check whether first this example.txt file is there on the desktop or not, or we'll give some other file. So we have already created myfile.txt in the current directory, right? So let us open that file only in read mode, then run this program. See, the mode in which the file is opened is R. And what is the name of file? myfile.txt. File closed, it is returning false. After it is closed, it is returning true. Okay. So now if I use instead of R, if I use W, then if I run it again, it will return the mode as W now. Right. So this is related to this program is related to the file information. So that means if you want to know the information of the file, the name of the file, and what is the mode in which the file is opened, and whether the file is still closed, is still opened or closed, right? So there is no attribute called open to know whether it is open or not. If you know whether it is closed or not, then it indicates automatically open also, right? If this f dot closed is returning true, it means that the file is not opened, it is closed. If it is returning false, it means that the file is opened still, right? So you don't require any other exclusive attribute for open to check whether the file is open or not. If you have one thing, then automatically you'll know the other thing also. Okay, so this is about file information. Then you have a module called OS module in Python. If you import that OS module into your program, then you can perform some other activities related to the files and directories. Directories means folders. So if you want to create a folder, new folder, you can create it. If you want to remove a folder, you can remove a folder, that is delete a folder. If you want to delete a file also, you can delete the file, right? So we have already seen how to create a file using X mode, right? Now if you want to delete a file also, you can delete a file, you can delete a folder, you can list out all the list of files and folders in a directory. All these thing operations also you can do. So let me show you in some other examples those things also. So I'm importing the module OS, import OS. So look at the first line of the statement after import statement. This is a rename function from OS module. This function is used to rename the file. That means if you want to change the name of the file from one name to other name, then you can call this rename function. For this you need to pass two parameters. The first parameter is the old name with which the file is existing. The second parameter is the new file name that you want to give. That is, you want to rename to this second parameter. So if there is a file called myfile.txt, then that myfile.txt will be renamed to mydatafile.txt by calling this rename function, right? Then That is one operation you can perform. Then the same OS module has os.path.exists function. This function, what it does is it will return true if the file that you specified exists in the current directory. Current directory means what? Where is this file f rename containing, in which file it, in which directory it is there? In that directory. That directory is nothing but called as current directory or current working directory, CWD, right? So in the current working directory, this exist function is going to check whether this file is existing or not. If you want to check whether in other directory, you can specify complete path of that file. If that file exists, then it will return true. If that file does not exist, then it will return false. When this will be useful? When you are trying to remove a file. So remove function in OS module will allow you to remove a particular file. So for this you need to pass one parameter, the file that you want to delete. Whichever file you want to delete, that file name you have to pass as parameter within the double quotes, along with its extension, whatever extension it is. If it is .py, you have to specify .py. If it is txt file, .txt, word document .docx, like that. Its extension must also be mentioned. Then before you try to remove a file, that is delete a file, first it is better to check whether that file exists or not. If that file is existing, then you can remove it. If that file does not exist, there is no meaning in deleting that file, right? So to know whether that file exists or not, first you can call os.path.exists function. This will return true if that file exists, otherwise it will return false. If the file exists, then you can call the remove function. Then the remove function will remove that file, that is delete the file. Else you can display a message like this: the file does not exist. Okay, so let me remove this comment here. So now already in our current working directory we have a file called myfile.txt, right? So if I run this program, that file name will be changed to what? mydatafile.txt. From myfile.txt it will be changed to mydatafile.txt. So let me run this. So you'll not get any output here. We need to open that folder and see. But I removed that file, right? So that's why it is deleted. I'll put this in comment. So the myfile.txt consists of this content. So now let us run the previous program. renaming the program. So you have the file myfile.txt here, that will be renamed now. Let us check whether the program is saved or not. Yes, now I'll run it. See, what is the file name? My data file. It has been renamed to my data file. So the content will be same, it will not be disturbed, only the file name will be modified. Right. So now if I remove this one, what will happen? Because there is no myfile.txt, let us see what will happen. It is going to generate an error. The system cannot find the file specified myfile.txt. Right. So the rename function, it will generate an error if the source file for which you want to change the name does not exist. If it exists, then it will rename it to the new file name. Right. So this is how we can use rename, and we'll see some more functions. Right. So look at this program. Again, here also I'm importing OS module. We are using another function called mkdir. Mkdir stands for make directory. In DOS command you have md, right? Make directory. So the same way Python provides you with a predefined function called mkdir, which is defined in OS module. So remember, when you are accessing those functions from that OS module, you have to call them like os dot function name, where OS is the module name. Though you imported the module into your program, you need to use the module name. We have done it in our user defined module creation earlier, right? So os.mkdir. So if this statement is executed, a folder or directory will be created with name mydir, right? Then another function called rmdir, which stands for remove directory. This is going to delete a specified folder. So you can write like this: os.rmdir and mention the directory name. So if the directory exists in the current working directory, then it will be deleted. If you want to delete a directory from a different directory, you have to specify the absolute path here, complete path of the directory. If the directory is in the same directory in which this file is located, then you need not specify that absolute path. But if you want to delete a directory which is at a specified location, not in the current directory, then you have to specify the complete path from the starting drive to the last folder, whatever it is, whatever path is there, that complete path you need to mention. Then that particular folder from that path will be removed. Then there is another function called getCwd, which returns the current working directory. So currently in which directory you are operating, this file dir is located in files folder in Python folder. Where is Python folder? In D drive. So that will be returned. Right. So now let me remove these comments. First I'll put this in comment because there is no my dir. So I'm creating my dir here, and then uh, get current working directory will return the current working directory. Chdir will change the directory. That means currently you are in files directory. From there you want to change to some other directory, then you will be changed to that directory. So I'll put all these things in comments because there are no directories called my dir like this, so this will not work. First we'll run only for make directory, and then get current working directory. With this only will work. So currently you are in D drive, a folder called Python, and in that you have another folder called files. So that is the current working directory. And we have created my dir folder, right? So let us go and check in that. See, there is a folder created. Earlier it was not there, now it is created. This will be empty. So now let us run it again by modifying the program. So I'll remove this one. So already my dir works exists. So let us see what happens. So when you try to create the directory with the existing directory, it will generate an error. So let us put that in comment. os.mkdir, I'll put it in comment, and I'll try to remove the directory but by using rmdir. Currently you are in this directory, and that directory must be deleted. So now you observe there is no that directory, it is deleted. Then now I'll remove the comment for mkdir but add the comment for rmdir, and then remove the comment for chdr. Chdr stands for change directory. So here I'll give chdr mydir, and then write this again so that we will know the current working directory after changing the directory. Let us see how it works. See, first you are in D Python files, then after that you created mydir. So you will be able to see now again the folder created, and from the current directory files you have changed to which dir? mydir. Okay, so after that again if I call get cwd, this will return D Python files mydir. Now let me give, instead of mydir, some other directory. So this one. You should not use backward slash here, you have to use forward slash. Windows operating system will use backward slashes, but in programming we should not use backward slashes, we should use forward slashes. So mkdir mydir already exists, so that's why it is returning an error. I'll remove it. See, currently you are in, first it is displaying D Python files, but after that you change the directory to Python OOP. So in that way you can change to any other directory on your system from the current working directory. So if the new directory to which you are changing is not in the current directory, instead it is somewhere else, then you need to give the complete absolute path like this. Even if you want to change to a different directory, say which is not in D drive, somewhere in E drive or F drive, there also you can change. See, from D Python files you have changed to G previous laptop Java. Okay, so this is how you can use these functions. So what are the functions we used? Mkdir to create a new directory, rmdir to remove a directory, and getcwd to get the current working directory, chdir to change to a different directory. So these are the various functions that you are that are related to creating a directory, creating removing a directory, changing the directory, for all this, and getting the current working directory. So where these functions are defined in OS module. So let us now move to another one. See, I'm creating a variable called I'm importing OS module here also. I'm creating a variable called location, and to that I'm giving the current directory, my working directory d:/python/files. So this is my current working directory, so I'm giving that. I'm storing that path in variable location in the form of a string. Then I'm creating an empty list, and look at this for loop how it is used. For rdf in os.walk. So this os.walk function, it walks through the directory where R stands for root, D stands for directories, F stands for files, right? So I just mentioned in the comment so that you'll understand this one. You can give any name. Instead of R you can give A, instead of D you can give B, instead of F you can give C. But to reflect the meaning and purpose of that variables, I am mentioning this R, which will represent as root. So even you can also mention directly ROOT root here also. D you can mention directories also, right? So it is up to you. You need not give exactly the same names RDF. So I want to use three different variables, which out of which R stands for root directory, and D stands for all the directories, list of all the directories in that root directory. F stands for all the files in that directory, in whichever directory I want to list out the files, and call the walk function, os.walk function, and specify the location. So what is that location? D Python files, and in that again I'm using a nested for loop for item in F. For item in F, what does F stands for? The files. So how many files are there in files folder? All those files. So you'll loop through all those files, and I'm using that list files in dir that we created, which is an empty, and appending os.path.join. This is another function. We have seen os.path.exist, which will return, if the file exists it will return true, otherwise it will return false, right? So for this what I am giving, two parameters, R and item, where R stands for what? Root, right? And item stands for what? Each file that you have are looping through the current directory, that is represented by F, current files that you are representing, right? So if I show the output, then you'll understand what is exactly the meaning of this one. And again I'm using the same list here also. After appending all these contents into the list, what I'm doing is simply adding all the files that are located in this directory into a list, that is nothing but files in dir. Then after that I'm looping through that list using this for loop and printing all the files. So let me show the output, then you'll understand. See, file in dir, d python files dir.py. So it is listing out all the files. First dir.py, then append.py, fappend.py, fileinfo.py, for.py, fposition.py, fread.py, frename.py, fwr.py, fwrite.py, listdir.py, mydatafile.txt, myfile1.txt, split.py, with.py. So these are all the files listed. So what is the purpose of this walk function? It walks through all the files of your directory, and you can extract each of the file using this for loop. So you need to use three variables for this for loop: r comma d comma f in os.walk function, because when you call this walk function by specifying a location, it will have information like the root directory, the current directory, and the list of files in that directory, in that particular location that you mentioned here, right? So in that, again, uh, f means what? F is going to be storing all the list of files. So if you want to have that list of walk through all the list of files, again use the for item in f, right? Then this will iterate through all the list of files. So each time you traverse to one new file, this os.path.join, what it is going to do is, it is going to return what? R means what? The root directory. You are able to see in the output the complete path d python files from the root. From the root it is displaying, right? So you are passing that root directory as first parameter and item as second parameter. Item is nothing but the file name, right? So this is going to join both these two strings. R represents the root directory, that is d colon python, d colon slash python slash files. Then after that a backward slash is given. This join function will add that backward slash and mention the file name that is specified by this item. So what is this doing? Join function is joining the root path with the file name, and then come after joining those two things together, it will form the actual path and append that content to the list that is nothing but files in dir. So you are calling append function and joining that file path along with the file name. Then after that you are reading all the contents of the list by using this for loop for item in files in dir and printing each and every item. So each and every item, when you print it, what it will display? It will display the complete path along with the file name. Okay. So this is about os.walk function. Walk function, what is the purpose of walk function? It walks through, as the name indicates, it walks through all the list of files in the mentioned path. So you need to pass as parameter the path of a particular folder or directory, whatever it is. Then in that folder, uh, here if you use this rdf, what does it indicate? R indicates the root directory and D indicates all the list of all the directories in that directory. So one directory may have some other subdirectories, right? So D indicates list of all the directories available in that. F indicates a list of all files that are available in this location. So we are not using D here, we are using only R and F, right? So we are not bothering about D. We are not bothering about D, we are just using R and F here. R we are using to know the root directory path, and item is F is nothing but to travel through or loop through all the list of files in that directory, in the files directory, this one, right? And then appending them to the list by joining the root directory and the name of the file, because this for loop will iterate through only the name of the file, it will not get the complete path of the file, right? So to get the complete path of the file, what we need to do, we need to use this function called join function, which will join the root directory path with the file name. So then you are storing that in a list, and again you are iterating through that list and displaying each and every file along with its directory path. So that is how this program works. So now that you understood this listing of directory, let us see some more programs. I'll use split program here. So there is a keyword called with keyword in Python. Instead of opening the file by using open function, which will return a file object, you can use this with keyword like this. After with keyword, give a space and make a call to the open function. As usual, you pass two parameters. The first parameter is the name of the file that you want to open, and the second parameter is the mode in which you want to open. After that, use as. As is another keyword. As f is a user defined variable name, you can use anything, right? So this f will now act as a file pointer. So this is similar to what so instead of writing f is equal to open like this, I can use the with keyword and write like this, with open file name comma read mode of opening the file as f. Then now f can be used as a file pointer. So now I can use a for loop also to loop through each and every line of the file content, right? So this line variable is a user defined variable. You can give anything. Instead of line, you can give l, a, b, like this, anything you can use. So I'm using for line because this for loop will iterate through each and every line, first line, second line, so on, like that. So first I'm reiterating through the starting from the first line till the end of the line. So during each iteration you can read one line of text. So what I am doing here is, inside this for loop, the first line is iterated and I'm using that line variable and calling split function. So now this line variable will have what, the string, a string of characters that are there in the first line of the file. So that first line, that string will be split by using this split function. So you need not specify this comma here, you can also give blank here. So by default what it does is, wherever you get a space, that means between two different words you'll get a space, right? So this string will be split into multiple words wherever you get a space, and that words will be stored in this word in the form of a list. Then if you print that word will be printed as a list of words. So let me run this program and show you the output, then you'll understand. See, so that file contains hello Python is interpreted object oriented simple. So each line will be split into a list of words. Because in the first line there is only one word, so the list of the first line is having only one item in the list. Second line also has only one word. Third line has two words. So the list contains two words, each one separated by a comma. As you know, it is so in a Python list, right? Then the fourth line has object oriented, and again fifth line has only simple word. So what is the split function doing? You know about the split function earlier. We have used it in strings also. So I'm iterating through the for loop, using the for loop of iterating through the each and every line of the file, and each line will be represented by this line variable, and that line contains a string. Whatever string is there in that line, that will be completely stored in this line variable. And using that line string variable, I am calling split function, and this split function will by default split all the words and store that words into a Python list, and that list is stored into this word variable. So now this word variable will become a list, and when you print that word, it will print that list. So in that way you'll iterate through all the lines, first line, second line, so on. How many lines are there, that many times it will iterate, and that many lists it is going to return. In each line, how many words are there, that many words will be the number of items in that particular list. Because in the first line there is only one word, in the first list you have only one item, and even in the second line you have only one word, so that's why in the second list also you have only one item. Third and fourth line has two words, so that's why the third and fourth list have two items each. And again fifth line has only one word, so fifth list has only one item, right? So this is looping through uh, each and every line of the file by using for loop, as well as using with keyword, using with keyword. And there is an exclusive program for with keyword here, with open myfile.txt in read mode as f, and I am simply looping through the each and every line. I am not splitting them into words and storing them in a list, directly printing each and every line. So this will normally print as it is, whatever lines are there in that file, so in that way it will print. So if I use with.py, so it will display all the lines. Hello Python is interpreted object oriented simple. Okay, so this is how you handle files in Python. So we have seen many functions, predefined functions. We have opened the file in read mode, write mode, append mode, and I have given the task for you to complete it with read plus mode, w plus mode, and append plus mode. If you have any doubts, if you work out on them today, tomorrow we can discuss about those concepts. So if there is any problem, we'll discuss them tomorrow morning in the beginning, and then go ahead to the new topic called exception handling. Otherwise, if you don't have any problem with the programs that you work out on today, we'll directly start exception handling. So if you complete that exception handling, the course will be completed. Okay, so please do not neglect it, because this is a weekend. You try to practice those three programs, and using read mode, read plus mode, write plus mode, and append plus mode, and check the output. Try to use all the functions that we have used for writing, reading, and if you are getting any problem, you can understand easily why it is happening. So if you got any problem, if there is no problem, nothing to worry. Okay, is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.